Hey everybody, welcome back to another fun and exciting intermediate math class. Today we're going to be doing lesson 1.7, and that is in your book on page number 28. Page 28 in your book 1.7, we're going to be talking about the greatest common factor. All right, greatest common factor. So go ahead and look down here in the screen. Greatest common factor, what is it? Well, the greatest common factor is the largest factor that is shared by two or more numbers, and that's called the GCF. You'll hear me say, find the GCF, greatest common factor. So it's important that you understand that right there. Okay, and what is the GCF? Well, it's the largest factor shared between two or more numbers. What does that mean? Well, let's take it piece by piece. What is the greatest? Well, the greatest is the biggest or the largest. What is common? Common means same. So largest shared or same factor. Okay, so there's the three words. Greatest common factor, the largest shared factor. What does that mean? Okay. Well, here's what it means. Well, let's first of all talk about the steps, and then we'll kind of talk about what it looks like, and then hopefully you'll make some sense of it. So what are the steps to finding these? Well, what we want to do is we want to take two numbers. For instance, down here, I have the two numbers. I have 36 and 90. So we want to take those two numbers and we want to find the GCF of those two numbers, the greatest common factor. So what do? Number one, we write the prime factorization of the numbers. You can do it however you want to. I kind of like this method. And so I start with 2. I always start with the lowest prime number. Remember, what are our prime numbers? 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, and so on. These are the ones that you're going to need to know the most because those are the ones that we use the most. So make sure that you know those. I would go all the way up to 19, but make sure you know at least these ones right here. So I always start with the number 2. Why? Just start with that one because if you start with that one, then you can always go from there. So 2. 2 goes into 3. How many times? 2 goes into 3 one time. Carry the 1, 16. 2 goes into 16 8 times. 2 goes into 36 18 times. Do a 2 again, and that goes in 9 times. Try 2 again. It doesn't work this time, so then we have to go to the next one. So now we go to the 3. So now 3 goes into 9. How many times? Well, it goes 3 times. Notice we got a prime number here, so we are done. So you want to prime factor 36. Then we want to jump over here and we want to prime factor 90. Again, always start with the number 2. 2 goes into 90 45 times. Now you would try 2 again here. 2 does not work, but 3 does. 3 goes into 45 one time. 3 goes into 15. Let me see. Let me make sure I'm doing that right. Yes, 3 goes into 15 5 times. Okay. All right. So 3 goes into 45 15 times, and then 3 also goes into 15 5 times. So there's your prime factorization of 36 and 90. One way that you can check that, just to make sure you didn't mess anything up, is just multiply down that list. So 2 times 3 times 3 times 5. 2 times 3 is 6 times 3 times 5. 6 times 3 is going to be 18 times 5. 18 times 5 does give you 90. Okay, so we're correct. I won't check the other one, but that's the way you can check it just to make sure that you did it correctly. All right, now, so that's step number 1. That's the easy step, right? We know how to do that. We learned that last lesson. Step number 2, circle the common factors. Oh, that's an easy one too. Yeah. So just go here and circle the common. What does it mean, common? It means that they're shared by both. So look, 2 is common with 2. Now look over here. This 2, there's not another 2 over here, is there? So that 2 is not common. Notice 3 is common with 3, and there's another 3, and there's another 3. So the 2 is not used, and the 5 is not used. Okay, so now we're done with that part, so that's easy. Now it says multiply the common factors together. And maybe it would be better if I wrote here, let me change this, multiply the I'm going to write pairs of common factors together. Multiply the pairs of common factors together. What do I mean by that? Okay, what do I mean by the pairs? So you would take the pair one time. So here's an example. 2 and 2. I take that one time. I get 1, 2. I don't get two twos. I get 1, 2. So I take the 2. Notice I have a pair of 3's. So I would multiply that. But I don't just have one pair of 3's. I have two pairs of 3's. So the 3's I would multiply twice because I have two pairs of the 3's. Now, here's what we do. Multiply them together. So we're going to multiply this out. 2 times 3 is 6. Oh, 6 times 3, sorry about that. 6 times 3, there we go, is 18. The GCF, the greatest common factor of these numbers, is 18. The GCF is 18. Okay. There are other ways to find the GCF. That is just one way. If you want to research another way and do it, I tried to show you one of the easier ways, one of the simpler ways to do it, but there are other ways. Notice right here, I said use the GCF when reducing fractions. So what if these numbers right here were fractions? What if this was 36 over 90? Okay, so we're going to take our fraction that we made, 36 over 90, and we're going to take our GCF, which was 18, and we're going to divide each one by 18. And this is going to reduce our fraction to lowest terms. 18 into 36 actually goes 2 times. Okay? And 18 goes into 90 5 times. So 2 over 5 is the same as 36 over 90. We just reduced the fraction. How did we reduce the fraction? With our GCF. Find your GCF and then reduce the fraction by the GCF. Are there other ways to reduce fractions? Yes, there are. You could have started with, instead of going right to 18, you could have started with 2. Okay, you could have said, oh, I'm going to reduce by 2, but you would have had more steps to go through. I understand you had steps to go through to get the GCF, so this is just one way. I'm just trying to show you ways to do this. So one way to use the GCF is by reducing fractions. That's probably the main way that you're going to use the GCF. You will use it for other things as well.